Let's talk about 10-minute content. So if content feels like a heavy task on your to-do list, this is an opportunity for you to do it differently. I've been talking a lot about my kind of 10-minute content strategy or content quest that I've been on, because I noticed that content was taking me a lot of time and not delivering the results that I wanted, and then just feeling like it was just so much time and energy. And I know that I talk to so many people every single day about content and how hard it is and how long it takes and how they're not getting the results they want. And I talked in my podcast this week about the overwhelm of that and how oftentimes we're putting a lot of pressure on one piece of content to be the be all and end all solution. So one email, one, social media post, whatever it might be, to be the be all and end all of like, I need to get a new client today. This post has to do that. So of course it's going to come with overthinking. Of course it's going to feel overwhelming. It is a lot of pressure that we are putting on one piece of content to do a lot of heavy lifting for us. And the strategy, the idea behind the 10-minute content quest or the 10-minute content idea strategy is, how can we take the overthinking out of it, take the hardness, this is difficult, this feels unnatural, this feels uncomfortable, all of those things, take the heaviness out of it and start to do it a little bit differently by creating ways for it to feel fun, joyful, easy, intuitive, and something that we can do and then move on with our day and with our lives, okay? So this is not just about how we can show up each day in different ways and do one thing. So think about it. If you're sending one email every 6 months to try and get new clients versus sending an email every week, that each week we're having the opportunity to build a little bit of micro trust, to give a little bit of micro value, to build those micro connections with our people. And so when we do make that ask, when we do say we have a new offer available or we're opening up to new clients, we have been paving the way to that through micro pieces of content every single week. And so when we make that ask, we have so much more kind of goodwill built up. We have so much more deposits made into the trust bank account, or however you like to think of it, whatever analogy feels good for you, that when we make that ask, people have been coming on this journey with us, that this not only makes sense, but it speaks to the people who are really ready for it, who have been coming on the journey and building up to being ready for this offer, for this next step. Which is very different from like putting out one post and hoping that it's going to do all of the work, sending one email hoping it's going to do all of the work. So the 10-minute content for this reason is so much about that. It's about dealing with the noise. It's about dealing with the trust recession, and it's about dealing with the pressure that we put on ourselves for our content to be always delivering in a certain way and having a certain result. If we can take away our need for there to be a result or a return on investment, and think differently about our content. We're going to show up, we're going to create something for 10 minutes based on what we're going through or thinking about right now. And each day we're going to build micro trust that is going to start paying off once we've kind of, hit that tipping point of doing that. The other thing is that I think we've moved into a place now, and we definitely are, especially I think because of AI generated content, especially because of TikTok and the way that TikTok's platform became so big so quickly during the pandemic, because it wasn't polished. It's edited, but it's not scripted. It's personal. It's resonant in its humanness. A lot of people are showing up, lying in bed, with like bad camera angles and talking about just something that happened to them today or something they've been thinking about today. And so I think that has been a big part of the catalyst, but it's all been converging around being more relatable. It's more interesting to be more human, to share things that you're experiencing and going through because it's relatable, because it's real. There's a kind of common comment that you'll see in comment sections on TikTok that is like, oh, I've never had a unique experience in my life, because it's really a platform where people are sharing their experience. And then it makes us all realize that we're actually all so similar, going through similar things. And that being a direct competitor to the curatedness of Instagram, but also the perfectionist, like the perfectness of AI generated content, the genericness of AI generated content. And, when we're thinking about now we're moving out of or people using AI to create content into creating videos and images, that perfect polished look, versus someone who's like lying in bed just talking about the reality of being human and how much more relatable that is. So, this 10-minute content idea is not about rushing, it's not about urgency, it's not about completely freaking out your nervous system. It is a mindset shift and a habit shift from spending 4 hours creating one piece of content when that time and energy could be so much better put into other things. But it is also from performance to presence. It is less about scripting everything, about trying it 50 times and finally just going with, one option from the different takes that you've done. It's about not getting it perfect, not judging yourself based on how you look or what you said, or that you stumbled on one of your words and had to re-say it, or anything like that. From performance to presence to showing up as someone who is so deeply human and doing it anyway. And I think that this, as I said, builds trust that we are human, that we are imperfect. And I think that's so needed in this time that we are currently living in. And so it's a little bit about that as well. Now, I want to really preface all of this by saying you need to take care of your nervous system, because if it feels unsafe for you to be putting content out, that is different from like not doing the thing. Please manage your nervous system, take care of yourself, and find a way to create safety in your visibility. And you might not know what that is yet, but even just having an awareness of this is a thing that I want and need to do, and how can I find safety in doing that, is a really great starting place that you might like to take the ideas from this and start with that, knowing that each time you show up, like when you're training and you have to do reps to build up to lifting heavier weights and whatnot, that is the same principle that we're applying to this. So Real and Raw also gives people a very clear idea of who you are when they come to work with you more closely. And that is very different than if you have an AI generated image or video, or you're reading from a script and doing like a perfect reading of your script, that when people come and work with you and they're like, oh, you're quite different because of how you show up in your perfect kind of content versus how you are as a human person in your calls and things like that. So that is kind of what we're talking about here, as much as the strategy of 10-minute content. But the goal is to capture momentum, not create perfection. And you'll know that I've been talking about documenting so much over the years, like for many, many, many years, if you've been here for a while. This is so much about documenting instead of going, oh, I have to sit down today and create content. I talk to people all day, every day about this. It actually came up in one of our calls recently about kind of, oh, I have to create content for my email. Okay, now I have to create a reel. Or tomorrow I have to create another reel. Now I have to create something for my members. And how oftentimes I see people thinking about their content as all separate things, instead of how can these all be kind of offshoots of something else? How can this be me capturing something that's happening in real time and using that, documenting that journey, instead of overthinking what content do I need to create today? And the question that I like to ask instead is, what do my people need to hear from me today? And that asks a different question. It brings in a different perspective. It gives us the ability to think differently about how we want to show up. It takes thinking about ourselves out of it, of like, oh, my hair's not perfect today. I'm not saying all my words perfectly, and thinking less about ourselves and thinking instead about what do my people need to think about today. So the goal of 10-minute content, capture momentum, not create perfection. What you share in the moment resonates more deeply because it's energetically linked to where you are right now. This is why I'm not personally a fan of creating a month's worth of content and scheduling it all in. I'm not a person that works with a content calendar. I don't schedule content in necessarily. I might schedule like tomorrow's podcast episode so that I don't have to remember to do that first thing in the morning, but I'm not sitting and just kind of banging out content and then scheduling it in every day for the next 4 weeks. Personally, because it doesn't feel like a energetic match for where I am in the moment that it's posted. I want to be kind of as much real-time posting as possible because it feels more in alignment with where I am as well. But please remember, This is about finding what works best for you. That is my personal feeling about it. It's not, for me, I'm not here to just bang out content. I'm here to say something. I'm here to talk about something that feels relevant in that moment, something that is an experience that I'm kind of in the energy of right now and thinking about, because I'm trying to go for that documenting authenticity instead of just like asking ChatGPT to create a month's worth of content for me to copy and paste into posts. So it's not about going viral. I get messages every single day from people like, oh, I can make your content better. Oh, I can do this better. It's like, I don't care what you're offering here. This is not about going viral. I'm not trying to get in front of as many people as possible. I'm trying to get in front of the right people and build trust and really connect with them. It's not about mass marketing. It is about really connecting with and resonating with the right people. But it's also about, the 10-minute idea is about clarity and consistency. What's on my mind right now? What's feeling relevant for me right now? And if I just show up for 10 minutes, what could I create that could be relatable for my people? What could be a quick and easy way for them to understand what I'm talking about and consume this and take action from it, or just to think differently about it? So this, I want to like really nail it in that it is not about just banging out as much content as possible. And we are not necessarily going for post every day at this exact time. It is about what is going on for me. What is a conversation that feels relevant right now that I'm having with a lot of people? What is something I noticed? What is a conversation I had with someone that I think could really benefit a lot of people that are already in my community? And how can I either repurpose that content and use that, or how can I create something from something that I've already got? So I'm going to talk in a minute about how to do that and how I do it. But just thinking about, like, I know we want to say something new, we want to have something interesting to say, but what we're really doing is we are getting clearer with our message every time we say it. We are coming at it from different angles, and we are actually wanting to get into a place of repetition so that people can know these are the things that you talk about. These are the things that you want to be known for. These are the topics that you have expertise in and that are really resonant within your work and relevant in your work. And this is a call to go deeper into not self-editing or self-judging. And like I said, focusing on your people and how you can help them first, and finding a way to do this that feels safe for you. So if for today, doing a talking to camera reel and posting it on Instagram feels too much, how can you dial it back to what feels easy today? What feels like your edge a little bit? What feels simple? And knowing that through practice, through doing this on a more regular basis, through the 10, like if you give yourself 10 minutes, like what can I create in that time? It opens up new neural pathways for us to get creative about what we can do in 10 minutes and how much we can actually do in that time when it's intentional, focused action, right? Versus like, oh, I need to do a post today. And that could be something that we fluff around for hours and hours and hours, trying to, put off and perfect and all of those things before we put it up. So find your edge, slowly expand through practice. So today, it might actually just be a photo that you took that you put text over the top of. It might be a notes app that you've been putting stuff in your notes app that you can expand a little bit on and send it as an email. It doesn't have to be about being on camera, talking on camera. It's finding your edge, what feels easy for you today, and knowing that each day you show up for 10 minutes and do this, you're going to come up with different ideas. You're going to find new comfort levels as you start to expand out. Guess what? It's really hard to do that if we're just creating one piece of content a month. And that takes 4 hours to do. I would rather that we get into a habit of doing little things each day, micro momentum, than trying to do one big thing once a month. And you can imagine if you were training at the gym and you went to the gym once a month, that is going to be very difficult to get results versus doing a little bit each day. Okay? So as I said, micro moments, they make the best content. They're the most relevant right now. It helps you to break down things into smaller pieces of content as well, solve small problems. And that is why in the planner, we have a daily reflection section and a question of how can this be relevant to my people. It means that if you do that every day, you are always going to have different ideas for something you can talk about or create or write an email around as well. And I actually have a question in there, are question prompts in the planner. So if you have that, grab it and look at it. But I always think about what insight, what conversational moment happened today where I was able to share an idea or talk about something that is important to me or that is relevant to my people. And sometimes it is a comment that I leave on somebody's post in a community I'm in. Sometimes it's a conversation that I have here in the group or in Emerge and Expand or with one of my one-on-one clients. And it's always like, oh, this is a theme that I think is actually relevant on a bigger scale. And I just will document it. I will put some dot points of how it could be relevant on a bigger scale. And then I just move on. Sometimes I will create a piece of content in that moment, but I really like to let things simmer a little bit. And then I come back to it and I go, what? These are 5 days worth of ideas here of conversations that happened. What feels really good for today? What feels really relevant today? Could I turn that into a carousel? Could I turn it into an email or reel or whatever, a podcast episode, whatever that might be? So I really invite you. I know a lot of people are using the planner. And if you're doing this, you're just starting to get into a habit even of documenting. Even if you're not turning it into content right now, you're going to have then a backlog of different things that when you're ready, they're there waiting for you to take action on. So it, like I said, it's might be a moment you left a comment in a group that showcases your expertise and life experiences. It might be something that your client asked you. It might be a conversation that you're seeing happening in a bigger scale on social media in your niche or with different people that you follow, that you have something that you want to add to that as well. The thing about this is that you've processed it, you've embodied it. It's something that actually happened and it's real, that it's not making up an example or it's not trying to appear as though you're further ahead than you are. It's something real life that's happening. You've processed it, you've documented it, you've got some perspective from it, and then you can take that and turn that into another piece of content. What did I say today that made someone else pause, nod, or shift? And then you know, that was a conversation you maybe had privately that you can then go and share on a bigger scale, say it publicly, share it with more people. If it resonated with one person, there's a good chance it's going to resonate with a lot of your people. So how do I do 10-minute content in life? How have I been doing it lately? Of course, this is super early in my 10-minute content challenge as well. But these are the kinds of things that are helpful that I know if you're trying to figure out how do I get started. So this is creating B-roll in the wild. It is recording 5 to 10 seconds of your day. Like, it's not minutes and minutes of content. It's literally just a snapshot of you making a cup of coffee, of you setting up your altar, you know, if you're for the energy healers, or you're setting up something for your energy healing session. You're taking a walk outside, you're doing work somewhere, you're even just working on your computer or whatever it might be. You in the wild, doing your work in the world, just capturing it so that you always have these little clips on your phone that when you're ready to turn it into a reel, you just find a piece of music. I literally just go to the trending sounds and then I just pick the one that feels the most relevant, add a bit of text, write a caption, and I'm done. Like, it's that's kind of the level of which I've been creating my reels lately. You can always add a voiceover. You can do a talking to camera, and even getting into a habit of doing this in your Instagram stories, just jumping on and doing a quick video. You can, it's only up for 24 hours, so it's a really good testing ground, but you can also then take those stories and turn them into a reel later on if it's something that connects and resonates with people. Let the action stay small. The idea does the work. So this is, again, preparing ourselves, creating habits that make content creation easy so that when we come to go, okay, I'm going to create an Instagram post today, what am I going to create it on? We've already got the content part there. And then it's just a case of taking an idea and putting it in so that we're not doing the content creation and the writing or the messaging part all at the same time and adding so much pressure, making it turn into a big long thing. So I have found doing the video part or taking photos that I can then put text on top of later means that that content is already there. I can just scroll through and pick something. And so when it comes to the messaging part, that is the only thing I'm thinking about. What is in my heart today? What is on my mind today? What do my people need to hear from me? Add that in, write a caption, and it is ready to post. Versus, okay, I have to create a reel. I've got to, sit down. I've got to record something. I've got to find the music. I've got to write the caption. Like, see how that then makes it a big long thing versus just like, okay, I just have to add some text to this photo that I took. So I'm finding that is really, really easy and making it so much better than trying to create content, the whole piece of content in one go. The next one is using your AI for repurposing. This is not about saying, hey, ChatGPT, please create me a carousel around mindfulness. This is about being able to share, hey, this is an email I wrote to my list. I actually do it more from posts in the common room or other communities that I'm in. I will just copy and paste what I wrote and say, hey, this was a comment or a post that I wrote for my people specifically. Can you please help me repurpose this into an email? Please keep it kind of the same content and ideas and tone of how I speak, but please make it relevant to a wider audience. And that just helps take your existing idea and turn it into a different format. You can also do things now if you have the paid version of ChatGPT, or you can use the free version of Notebook LM, where you can actually upload things like your transcripts from, say, a training call or a program that you've written or a PDF that you've put together or just anything that you've been documenting, and you can use AI to help you pull out small bite-sized sections that you can turn into other content. So this is really helpful for that as well. And so I've got some prompts in the little worksheet for you that are so easy. I mean, it's so easy. So I've got both of these things for you, but it's literally like, based on this, can you give me some ideas? Based on this, can you help me pull out 3 main points that I can talk about in a video or that I can talk about in a carousel? So yes, repurposing using that, asking ChatGPT, what's one short piece of content I can make from this? Or give me 3 hooks based on this. Now, I find that ChatGPT is not that good at hooks. And so sometimes you can do research into what other people's content and reels and hooks that they're using, and then repurpose those for your content. But it is really good at distilling information and taking a big idea and breaking it down into lots of small ideas. So I really recommend it for that. And it's not about getting ChatGPT to do the work for you. That's how you get generic content. It's about taking your own words and your own messaging and refining it, simplifying it, and remixing your best ideas to try different angles and test out different small bite-sized pieces of your message in different formats, okay? Please let me know if you get unsure about that. And also, if you don't want to use ChatGPT or AI, that is absolutely fine as well. But you might take your content and go, how can I just take one piece from this and turn, if you've got, for example, a 27-page PDF that is a documentation of what you've been doing this year and what you're going to be doing and ideas that you have that you've turned into a mini book, you could have so many pieces of content come out of that, right? You can take so much and turn it into so many smaller bite-sized pieces to share in different ways. And it really, really helps take the bigness out of content creation. Do not worry as well about saying the same things over and over again, because only you have to experience that. And the third thing that I'm finding as well is raw uploads. So last week I took my training from the common room here and I put it straight up on YouTube. And I didn't overthink it. I didn't edit it. I didn't even rewatch it. I just went, yep, that's, you know what, that's pretty good. I'm just going to put it up so that it's up there. Versus taking an hour and a half to film content and then 4 hours to edit it and then do all of the things. I did a thumbnail for it and I put it up and I sent an email saying that it was live, and it made it so much easier to just get something up versus having to really spend a whole day working on my YouTube video, and the same amount of people saw it and it got the same reception as if I had done that anyway. And again, it's coming back to that raw, authentic, this is what you can expect when you're in the common room and you ask a question. So I just wanted to touch on this because it's not just about creating content. It is about what gets in the way. And this is from my own experiences. This is what I see a lot, where the overthinking comes from, where the overwhelm of creating content comes from. Of this should be better. I should be further ahead by now. My content should be as good as this person's content. Everything I want to say has already been said. I should wait until I have more time, or I feel more ready, or oh, this feels a bit scary, so I'm not ready for this yet. And these are all about self-protection. So I said at the start, I've been talking about nervous system work a lot lately. Please find what feels safe for you. My level of visibility that I feel comfortable with at this point in my business is going to be different from yours. That's just the reality of it. So take what I'm talking about and make it work for you based on where you're at right now. But I also want to call you in gently into how can we find safety within the uncertainty, within the visibility, within the importance of our content is most likely not going to go viral, but what we're doing is we're showing up each day in different ways for 10 minutes to hopefully connect with and help one person, to build the muscle of showing up in this way for 10 minutes and how creative we can get with that 10 minutes, for just building that visibility muscle and what that might look like for you and how you can make it work for you. The other one that I know that I definitely do is the after publish criticism spiral of like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I should take it down. I should delete it. I should remove it. And again, another protection mechanism that we can move through together. This is the challenge in the common room. This is not about ticking all the boxes. This is not about doing this thing every day for 30 days. This is the challenge, the real challenge underneath the 10-minute content quest is that we're going to move through this together. We're going to share what we're learning. We're going to share the edges that we're coming up against as we're moving into a new level of thinking about content differently and stepping into visibility in a different way. We're going to post and move on. And honestly, it has been hard to do without judging, without going, oh, I don't look great in that video, or oh, I wish I had been more refined in how I shared that training that I put on YouTube. And it actually just be post and move on. 10 minutes, move on, and then I'm going to get on with the rest of my day. And then tomorrow I'm going to show up and I'm going to do it again, because that is how we're going to get better. That is how we're going to learn. That is how we're going to stop judging ourselves and start focusing on how we're supporting and showing up for our business and our work and for our people. My best content that resonates the most with people and gets the most replies and engagement is always the stuff that I feel a bit nervous hitting publish on, and that afterwards I panic and think I should delete it, and spend time overthinking it afterwards. If it made you feel something, if it feels real for you, it is probably worth sharing. And again, getting to know your nervous system and the difference between what feels unsafe and is going to throw you into a spiral versus like what is an edge for you is something that is more important than any of the strategy behind this idea.